Hey, we got WxManRay here again. We skipped a day yesterday, so we're back to Monday, March 16th, 2026. So, yeah, this week's going to be like we were a couple weeks ago, hit and miss. We're doing some more traveling. It's that time of year. So, yeah, so we got this RGB satellite. Things are starting to turn dark out here. That's because the sun's setting out here. It's 5 o'clock Pacific time, so it's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. And but we still got this big storm system kind of hanging along the East Coast here, and some thunderstorms into Florida. Looks like maybe there's a few thunderstorms across North Carolina, Virginia, maybe, unless all of them have gone out to sea. We'll have to look at the observations. I think most of the snow is back in here, just some wraparound snow on the backside, and we'll have to see if there's anything on the backside of this. This is just an upper level wave, just some high clouds coming across Texas and the south. Nothing, no significant weather with that. And then we got this. This is that next wave that's going to bring a little band of snow over into this area as we head into tomorrow. So, yeah, so that's really all that's going on. Otherwise, cold across most of the eastern part of the United States and very warm across the west, or pretty warm anyways, but getting warmer this week. So we'll talk about that. All right, let's zoom. We'll just start up here in the Northeast since that's where we're at. So we'll go back here. I had the Weather Service warnings overlays. We still got some blizzard warnings in the UP of Michigan, and I think these are some winter storm warnings out for off the lakes in Michigan. There's still some lingering snow back across the UP of Michigan, and then some snow showers out across Michigan and even down into Ohio and Indiana. A little bit of light snow or mostly snow flurries out in Illinois there. Maybe a little bit into eastern Iowa, but not a whole lot. And then farther south, we still got some snow all the way down to parts of Tennessee here. So that cold air is filtering in. Some gusty winds behind it. Nothing like yesterday, gusting up to 30, maybe 40 in spots. Out of the mostly out of the west and northwest through there. We still got some rain going on here from the Carolinas all the way up into Pennsylvania and Buffalo, New York, that area. Actually, correcting myself, we got snow in Buffalo and snow in Pittsburgh, so they're on the cold side of things. As you get towards Syracuse and whatever this site is, Williamsport, they've got rain, so they're not quite cold enough yet. They may turn over to snow briefly in these spots before the system's gone. And it's still pretty warm across the East Coast in the 60s. Still some gusty winds up to about 40 miles per hour going on out there. Stand by. More dog issues. I got too many barking dogs here. Sorry. It kind of drives me nuts when I'm trying to do something and they're barking away. Anyways, okay. So, yeah, and even up into the rest of the Northeast, pretty nice. Mostly warm enough for rain right now, even in the 40s in Maine, and some showers going through that area. But this big system's almost out of here now. As we head south, looks like most of the thunderstorms have moved offshore. Yeah, it's hard to say if there's anything going on across this area. Mostly just some heavier rain, but looks like all the storms have moved offshore. So the severe threat, I think, is pretty much over. They've got some thunderstorms across parts of Florida. It looks like some gusty winds. It looks like they got that's what they call like a bow echo. Yeah, they had a gust almost to 50 miles an hour there at Fort Myers. So, yeah. So you got some strong winds with some of these. I don't know if they're quite going to be severe, but yeah, they're going to misbehave a little bit down there. So, otherwise, temperatures are cooling off behind this whole system. You can see Tallahassee's 49, still 61 in Jacksonville, but they'll cool off some more. Yeah, we got 40s, 50 in New Orleans, so a little chilly. Yeah, even Texas has got mostly 40s, and it's what, about 7 o'clock out there, so it's kind of chilly for compared to what it's been like lately, you know, in the 70s and 80s out there the last couple weeks, or at least last week. Can't remember what it's been before that. Still cold out here, 30s in Oklahoma and Arkansas, even down into Tennessee. I got a few snow showers out into northern Alabama. Really cold out here in most of Missouri in the 20s. The winds are still blowing about 30 miles an hour. 30s and 40s across Kansas. The winds are starting to let up as you go westward. Looks like a little rogue. Looks like that mostly will be rain or snow if it's reaching the ground, but not much with that there. And then the cold air is up here. We got some teens going on all the way from Iowa back up in Minnesota, the Dakota, some single digits up in some spots up here in parts of North Dakota. So yes, it's definitely cold out there for some of you guys. As we head back west, looks like we got some rain showers going through parts of Montana where they had the snow the other day. So I guess it's probably raining on top of snow right now. That's what I'm assuming. And then looks like there's some rain north of Seattle. So yeah. For the rest of the West, I mean, look at that. Nevada's in the 60s and 70s, beautiful. A little bit cooler for Salt Lake, 57, but you know, as we get down towards Vegas, it's 80. Look at that, 80s all across California, most of California. Wow, 90 over there. So it's warm across California, except for the far northern sections up there near the coast where they got that cooler water. Yeah, we got some 90s going on back here, and you know, south part of Arizona here. Yuma's 94, so yeah, it's almost getting to 100. They're gonna reach that this week, you know, later this week, maybe tomorrow or Wednesday, definitely. Yeah, so that's pretty quiet. Warm 60s mostly in most New Mexico, some 40s still in eastern New Mexico. They kind of get the cold air. The mountains right through this region kind of block the cold air sometimes. That's why you're seeing 60s out to the western side and 40s over here. So yeah, that's all there really is to say for that. Yeah, so this will be our next system that kind of drops down this stuff that's up here into Canada and Montana. That'll bring our next little weaker storm. The only thing really significant this week, if I remember correctly. Let's go to our storm reports for today. A lot of damaging wind reports all the way from Pennsylvania, Virginia, you know, Maryland, that area down. Looks like a tornado, two tornado reports down in was that in southern or that's North Carolina, southern North Carolina, and then wind reports all the way down to Florida. So let's see what the day before looked like. Yeah, very active. This was yesterday, man. We had tornadoes, 9 tornado reports, just damaging winds all over the place, and then quite a bit of hail too, especially back through this area. But yeah. So pretty active severe, but that's quieting down now. We should see a break for at least a week, so we'll see how long it lasts, maybe longer. All right, and let me show you the snow reports from the last 24 hours since we had a significant snowstorm. So they had some snow out in Colorado, you know, up to 8 inches in some of the mountains, but this is where all the significant snow was. I mean, look at this. We got some Looks like we got some 36 inches up here in the UP of Michigan, and parts of Wisconsin had over 2 feet. So yeah, generally, like I said, 1 to 2 feet, and then you have 30 plus inches. Some are close to 3 foot out there. Yeah, even down into Iowa, we had some, what, close to 8, 9, 6, 7 inches in northeast Iowa. Most of it, though, it looks like around Kansas City or had about an inch or two. So they did get a little bit of snow. The rest of Missouri got, you know, 1 to 3 mostly. Yeah, so Illinois and Iowa got up to maybe 8, 10 inches in spots. Back here, not as much back in South Dakota, you know, maybe up to 6 inches, 7 inches here and there. Looks like Omaha maybe had a couple inches, 1 to 2 or 3 inches. So that's what happened. That was that big storm, but that's winding down. You'll see, yeah, there was even some 2 feet plus up here, and Yeah, UP of Michigan and the northern part of Michigan too. So yeah, a lot of snow up there. And then that's not quite done. Yeah, and then even wow, look at that. They had an inch or two down in northern Alabama, a couple inches in Tennessee. All along the backside, there's been, like I mentioned, it was only going to be a few inches. We had a couple 5 inches, 4 to 5 inches. So yeah, that's generally how that stuff's going to be as it moves through. So from points, like from Buffalo, New York, West Virginia, rest of Pennsylvania, all those areas down to the south, you may see a brief burst of snow, get an inch or two out there. So don't be surprised to see some more snow with this before the system's gone. So this is basically right now. That low pressure's moved way off up into Quebec there with, you can see the lingering snow back into Michigan, and we saw in Indiana, Illinois. Then on the backside of that cold front, which is pretty much moving offshore, it's not quite offshore yet, but it's right along the east coast. Down farther south, it's moved offshore into Florida there. But yeah, so you'll see a little transition to snow for a few hours before it leaves. But yeah, still some gusty winds through here, 30, 40 miles an hour for the most part, like I was telling you. Definitely stronger offshore, but we're not going to really talk about the marine forecast. We're not going into that. So tonight, you can see that it looks like New York, most Pennsylvania will get in on the action. Still lingering snows up here. It looks like the lake effects will get going too off the lakes with this very cold air from basically this whole part of the country is going to get colder for a day or two, but it'll rebound pretty quick as we go through mid to late week. So yeah, and this is by early tomorrow morning, and that's by midday. So you'll have some snow going across the northeast in the morning, but by midday, most of it's ending, and then you just got some lake effects off where they get the bands off the lakes and those favorable areas. Maybe some lingering light snow up next to the Appalachians back here in West Virginia and Pennsylvania and parts of the Carolinas, but just real light stuff it looks like. Here's that next system coming down Tuesday. So we'll get a couple inches coming into the Dakotas and Minnesota and then Iowa. Looks like it'll stay. It might clip northeast Missouri, but going mostly into Illinois and points, and then it kind of weakens. Let's go back. So this is Tuesday, and then this is Tuesday night. Wednesday, it's weakening. There's still some spotty snow, light snow and rain, but really nothing to speak of. And then by Thursday during the day, it moves up into the northeast with a few snow showers. It's still kind of cool. This is going to be the cool part of the country for most of the week. Looks like another weak disturbance with some rain and maybe some snow on the northern edge by Thursday, but these are weak clippers coming out of Canada. And then by Friday, another system kind of skimming the border into Michigan on Friday into Friday night, and that's as far as I want to go. So the only thing I'll say with that next system, it looks like Tuesday, a little bit of gusty winds, maybe 30, 40 miles an hour coming out of Texas up into the central and southern plains here. So it'll be windy out there, but that's nothing new. This part of the country sees a lot of wind, especially in the springtime. So springtime is the windy season for some areas. Back to the Pacific Northwest. Fairly dry for Seattle and Portland until tomorrow. It looks like tomorrow the rain kind of picks up out there and kind of wants to go north and south, so you might get some breaks in the rain through the week. But it looks like it'll start drying out as we head into maybe Saturday and Sunday out in the Pacific Northwest. So, yeah, so that's really it. It's fairly quiet. I mean, other than those little weak clippers coming across the north and then the normal weather up in the Pacific Northwest, and this departing system through tomorrow morning is not much going on really weather-wise. So it's going to be a quieter week, and it will start to warm up starting. Let's go back a little bit here. So by Tuesday and Wednesday, like Kansas City, up into Omaha, pretty much all the most of the plains will start to warm up, and that'll be the trend. It'll get very warm. I think it's supposed to be up in the 80s, 70s, and 80s across this part by, later in the week, Wednesday, Thursday time frame. And even, the south will start warming back closer to normal. But like I said, the northeast will stay cool. So the groundhog still got you locked in there for a little bit longer. Maybe by April, because we're getting to almost the third week of March by end of next week. So, yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I think that's all I've got to cover here. I'm not going to talk about much else. So, hey, I appreciate y'all subscribing. I tried to zoom through this pretty quick. There's not a lot to talk about after this big storm goes away. Hope y'all are safe from the strong winds, the cold out east, if you live out there, the severe thunderstorms, all the blizzard conditions up across the north. If you drew the unlucky straw and you live where all that crap happened, sorry, dudes, man. Back where I'm living, it's 70 degrees right now out west, out here in the mountains. So sorry about that. You guys got the wrong end of the stick this time around. But spring's coming. April's just around the corner, and it can start warming up in April. We'll see how it goes. All right. Thanks for subscribing. I appreciate all the new subscribers. I think I was up to 37 last I looked, so that's awesome. We're moving along, and I appreciate y'all for listening, and leave me a like and a subscribe if you haven't done so already, if you like this stuff. And I try to, show you the weather and sometimes explain what's going on a little bit here and there. I didn't do a lot of that today, but I'm don't have a whole lot of time going on. But yeah, it'll be hit and miss again this week, like I said at the beginning, and you might or might not get a video tomorrow. We'll just have to see how things go. All right. Well, this is WxManRay out.